Hello and welcome, as it is the 12th day of December, or it is the start of that day, 2019 being the year. My name is Derek. Welcome to the Money Charts channel, where, like always, all bets, trades, and of the like, well, that is within each his own risk and their own reward. Alrighty. Within Bitcoin, we continue to stay within this correctionary phase amongst the 18, hanging in there on the low side. Thus, it seems more and more probable that what I've been stating for a while, that this is en route to most likely piercing below 63, realistically in the areas of 61, I think, to 5,900 ballpark area is where this is going. The first attempt before that is that of the excitation of the 18 average of lows. It's not quite doing that yet, as it's still holding on to the previous mark, but we'll say just barely. More likely you test your key areas, and the more times you stay like this, where you're really staying completely within like periods like 2 days, as you see, just hanging in there like this, the more likely you stay like there. Man, it doesn't look good. At least it looks good for that setup, of course, but that probability odds just go higher is another way of putting it. Now on the shorter term time frame, a little interesting event took place, and it was right here, and over a span of 2 periods, but really 1 minute. Things just got a little bit wild, so let's just take a look at the 1 minute. There we are, right there. This was the play, and that wasn't when it started. That was 1 minute of it. Before then, and I'm just waiting for it to load, and there we have it. This is that first failed breakout. And on this breakout, 1 minute term, a move of like 1% that occurs in 1 minute, it immediately fails, finds very little, but did find some support in this area where we came from. But it found support here at 1907. 3 minutes later, it got into the 18 average, pretty much at the 18 of closes. And then it showed weakness on there for 3-4 minutes, and then we can see on the excitation, kerplunk, baby. So that significant breakdown, and there we can see the lows come in there at 1937, and they come in even lower at 2056 after having some time to stabilize. And then after stabilizing this move, it did not resist where this first area where it came from. And this area here where it came from, it did resist this one, and now we're just waiting and seeing. Some support has been established down there. Of course, the resistance that we figured would come into play, at least on this run, did. Of course, it didn't here. Okay, so when you don't find resistance at that first spot at 71 short term, well, 71.30, I suppose, yeah, you'd probably go to the next mark, and it did. So now it's just neutral sideways, a little bit of a downward slope to the sideways itch or whatever. But there's downtrend lines within it. But overall, the key point is really a neutral from, well, I guess it's from this last down move. And this down move here as well. So it's neutral from both an up move and a down move. Breaking down below the support, well, certainly I'm looking for a retest of this low. Breaking above this resistance, first an area of like a 61.8% retracement in this area, then breaking above that, we're looking at previous high. Let's move on to some altcoins, and right off the 1 minute time frame with Waves, which is having a volatile day. Just over the last few minutes, we've seen a fall from 900 to 860, losing 3-4% of its value. And from this point in here, it's higher than this low, and then we've been making higher highs and higher lows all day. In fact, it was 800 earlier and getting up to 900. And earlier it was 1900 hours, and we can see that it's like almost 1 a.m. as I'm doing this now, or 4, 5, 6 hours of this nice pattern of higher highs and higher lows. And despite the fact that even amongst here we can say, well, there's lower highs and lower lows, and there is. Amongst the primary trend, we got this low, this low, this low, this low. And this low came from a good correction. This low had some decent time below here. This one was a sharp, fast move lower, and this one has been the sharpest maybe of the bunch. But with that being a sharp move, it's still higher low to this. And if you have, and normally you do make a higher low, but bullishly and bearishly you can do that, meaning bearishly. If this thing lows it and then just goes sideways or makes a lower high and you go like that, because the reason why it's favored to make a higher low because of this dominant move. And because of this dominant move, that's now going to make it difficult if it even tries to rally higher to even make a matching high. But it's in a nice uptrend, it may, and it may not. Now, this is just 1 minute stuff. I'm just going to go over just basic technical analysis because this type of stuff can happen on other time frames like 5 minute, hourly, different such, and of course other markets, obviously. On the single hour term, there's been a lot of interesting moves. There was this failed breakdown in here, or just someone just making a quick sale, I suppose. This might be one of those options. Definitely a failed breakout occurred. Although if you bought and held so far, hey, so good. But if you bought it and you got stopped out, as Nelson Muntz would have said in The Simpsons. You talk about a show that I used to love at one point. That's just off topic. But from the day one get-go, maybe not day one from the original spot, but from the first ever pilot episode where they got Santa's Little Helper. Tracy Ullman show, I never watched it on. But from episode 1, I thought that show was great. And then I thought in 2003, 2004, when the show has been on forever, that it sucked. 15 years later, I think it's still on. I think it sucks even more. But anyway, that's my opinion. But if you got stopped out here, oh man, that's funny. That's really, really funny. No, it's funny. No, it's funny. Anyway, after that funny moment, the price action goes up to this high, and talk about a successful correctionary move. That's why I like using the 18. And even though it didn't have to support it, if it would have failed this move and started to go down here, then I'd be looking, well, okay, how does a 3-hour, 4-hour, 8-hour term time frame show with an 18 moving up like this? But no, it doesn't look like that's needed. Rather, where's remove drawing tools? There it is. Rather, what I see upon this is that it's had that successful correction, just even amongst this little bit in here. From the low, we resisted on this period, break it out this period. The previous period that passed had the price actually come in below this point, close at this level. We've already experienced it have a higher high to the previous period. It's also now coming back, but it's probably at the lowest point you'd kind of want it very short term to come into, because as it plays out, because of all that stuff I just stated about how cool everything was, or how bullish it is rather, well, if we come in here, make this high, and then start to show weakness in this little area here upcoming, then that could signify that this is that failed breakout, and that the two possibilities of either continuation of a longer neutral market or this being a failed move and then coming to like what I state down towards this point becomes more and more likely. As it stands right now, the mathematical odds for a 12% move either up or down in the next 12 hours is pretty damn high. At least it's a lot higher than it should be in all of the other coins because of its mathematical situation. For on the daily term, it's been getting its ass kicked. And well, yesterday's session, we can see just within that move, this part of that successful correction that we're seeing, that this does look in line where it could easily be up and have moves in the 1,000, 1,200 area. It wouldn't be that big of a surprise, but a 12% decline would be like 100 points, like 750. Oh, so the chance that it fails this move, it comes down the 18 average of lows. Okay, yeah, that's... And then, yeah, that wouldn't be that big of a surprise, but that goes to show you that what's favored upon this as we go into today's session is very big volatility. That'll be it for today's video, and I know it's been a lot of one video a days, but as far as myself has been going on, and as I've been stating on this, I've been doing a lot of the fantasy sports investing. It's been profitable. Today's session worked out to a 3x gain, although it could have been higher if the last goal didn't happen. And that's what one goal makes a big difference. And then just fooling around today. I'm looking at a soccer game. Oh, soccer showdown where you bet on one game. Soccer's like hockey. You got a goalie, you got goals, you got shots, and the point system's relatively similar. I probably could use my same hockey strategy, and it looks even more profitable as far as, well, when I looked at the data for what people were playing, and I actually got the data right in here. What I do is I download this. It's a read-only file. I copy and paste this into another spreadsheet, which gives me this. And what a fantastic result this was. Cristiano Ronaldo, A guy I heard of. I mean, that's the only guy I heard of all the games. I didn't play him, though. He had a good-ass game. Pogo 283 got the win. 73.84 fantasy points. How did I do? I did a magnificent. But, actually, hang on a second. I got to pause the tape because my keyboard's like 9 feet away. And I suppose I could have just scrolled it. I'm going to type my name in here, but I mean I could just scroll to the very bottom. 350 player game. Let's put my name in. 464 player game, of which a bunch of these people didn't even put a lineup in. Meaning they bought the ticket to play, but that's all they did. They didn't do anything more. They didn't put their 6 players in. So let's just delete this, I suppose. I guess there's 463 players of people actually put in lineups. I finished in 450th place. I have a strategy that I said from the day one in hockey. And this is even more volatilely intense where, well, in hockey, I should be finishing in the top 10, bottom 10% of the field extremely high, much higher than the 10% on each time. Like 20% of the time I finish in the top 10. Same thing on the bottom. But this is, I mean, after looking at the data for how people play, because this is exactly what I got here. This is what I do. Oh, there's a soccer fan there, Snapchild. I don't even know any of these players, so I don't know how good your lineup is by looking at it. I'll let you know who I played. I mean, I played this guy with the letter D at the end, Bell something, Juan, a guy with the last name letter D. Okay, let's make it so you can read it. It's Aranega, guys, and this Lucas, I don't know how to pronounce his name, as my captain. That was my team. It was one of the worst teams out there on that day. That's just how it goes. And then, of course, there's a bunch of other ones. But I can do a lot with this data. I see exactly what people do. I've done so much of this with hockey. I know exactly what people are going to do on a day-by-day basis. I know how to play every single game just by looking at it, what you're going to do. Then I know how the box score of the game's going to go. But you know what? This is like baseball in the sense where you really don't need to know the sport. And thankfully for me, I don't. The fact that I actually heard of somebody, I don't know how to pronounce his first name, but Ronaldo. I think it's Ronaldo. I don't even know what the person would look like, or what number they would wear, or what team that person is on. I don't even know what 2 teams played this game, but 2 teams did. That's what I need to know. After all, it's all a numbers game. It's all mathematics to me, and it's fun. So with that being said, that means when it comes to coins like these and a lot of the other ones, waves, that I'm not big long-term fans on. They're just a play to have action on. Waves, even Neo for that matter. Trying to think of some other ones, but just coins like this, when Atom, Cosmos, when they're having good gains, it's going to be like, you know what, flip, just get rid of it all and just play the ones that I like, the Thetas, the Litecoins, the Tezos, Bitcoin Cash, Ripple, Bitcoin in itself, of course, is a base, and do it that way, because I find this a very interesting and fun game to be able to do this. And soccer's a year-round sport in the sense. I can't even know that for sure, but I mean, we're playing soccer in December, and this is, from my research, this was Italian league, and I don't know what weather's like in Italia in the middle of December, but it ain't too warm in Canada, and I know we're more north, but it ain't that warm in like most states in the United States either. Even when to places like Virginia, it can get cold on a day. I don't know how they. I mean, I figure like South America, Africa, I mean, soccer's played everywhere. So I'm just going to take some games, and thankfully, this is what I love about it, where it just works out for me. Because literally, I played it today, and I'm like, well, now I got to find out to see who's actually playing. This is not going to be fun. And my testing 2 to 3 hours before game time wasn't that great. It was not bad, though, considering I have no idea. But then DraftKings literally told me who was starting. It's like, thank you. And in hockey, they don't. And thank you again, because if they did, whatever. But it's this stuff I know. I mean, I know how to check 20 minutes before the game who's playing in hockey. But anyway, thank you for tuning in. Have yourself a great day. Bye-bye.